Hi everybody, John Carlo from the Story King podcast here. Today's another edition of Tuesday Tips, and I wanted to talk about foreshadowing. It's been said that the proper ending of a story should be both inevitable and surprising, and the way you accomplish that is through foreshadowing. There's a couple of ways to do this properly, in my opinion. So the first one is basically you're dropping clues throughout the story, or at least in the beginning of the story, to set up the ending. Now in a short story, this is a little bit easier because you have less words. And what I like to do is sometimes I'll write the whole story out and I'll see how the story ends, and then I'll go back and add something in the beginning so that the ending makes more sense. So you don't have to think that if you don't get it right the first time, you can't go back. A lot of times you should go back to make sure that the ending makes even more sense by going back to the beginning and adding a couple of clues. Now you should always assume that your reader is smarter than you, so you don't want those clues to be too obvious. Now another way, this is my favorite way, is through what I call mirrors. I don't know if that's the real term for it, but it's the only way I can describe it. And if you ever read of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, one of my favorite books, you should definitely go read it. You may want to read it before you finish the rest of this video, just because I'm going to give away a little bit, not too much. But there's a character in there named Candy, and he has this sick dog, and everybody's like, this dog is worthless, it's stinky, it's blind, it's no good, and the dog needs to be put down. Now that whole scene right there with Candy and his dog mirrors what happens to the main characters, George and Lenny. That's all I'm going to tell you about it right there, but you take something insignificant, a relationship insignificant, an event that's insignificant, but it should be somehow mirroring what happens on a larger scale at the end of the story. That's my favorite way to foreshadow something, because then the reader really doesn't see it coming, but it just adds to the overall denouement at the end of the book and creates a really nice read. So that's foreshadowing for you. So think about that. Again, if you do foreshadowing properly, your ending should be both inevitable and surprising.